start recording. All right, guys, thanks everybody for joining us. This is, thank you for Jennifer for bringing this issue up. It's an excellent topic this time of year, something we're all struggling with. We have all, I don't care what you've been doing, you've gotten a little off track in the holidays at some point. Eating a little bit more than you're used to, drinking a little bit more, having some fun. Now, how do we kind of scale that back into getting back on track? So that's what we're here to talk about today. So I think first and foremost, what we want to completely get off the table and make sure that we're not, struggling with that is all the emotions around, what's going on. Like, if you feel like guilt is in any way part of this for you, you got to just let that go. It doesn't freaking matter what you did around the holidays. It doesn't matter if you went off track. Focusing on that and spending energy on that is going to get us nowhere. So let's try to put that aside and just use that energy and focus our efforts towards actually making forward progress. And now let me ask something that when Jennifer just brought it up a minute ago, you said you cleaned out your refrigerator. Is that because you had a bunch of holiday type stuff in there?
Yes.
Yeah, so the second thing is you gotta ditch that crap, okay? If that stuff's staring you in the face, I'm gonna eat it, all right? If I got a chocolate cake there, it's helpless, I'm gonna eat it. So really do yourself a favor. Don't put that crazy pressure on yourself by having things like that just sitting there in front of you. If you feel like you just cannot get it out of the house because you have kids or a husband that'll just, go crazy, at least put it out of sight. Make them work to find it and get to it. It's not so that it's sitting right there in front of you, okay? And then the next thing is, and Dennis is going to take us through some of this, it's time for a reset. You got to reset your goals. What are you trying to accomplish here? I posted a little bit of this in the Facebook page. It's kind of what we call structural tension, and I know, Jennifer, you're in this case, and I think some others are as well, is you're so close to your goal. So what structural tension really means is that, when we're starting out on a journey, I'm going to try to keep this in the camera view, there's this much space between where we are now and where we want to be. Now, like for people who are, it's this much, there's just not a lot of tension. So I'll let Dennis kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, so we talked about this yesterday in the Zoom that we did, and Elevate Now. And I thought it was very good. So the structural tension is basically pain pushes until desire pulls. And it makes a lot of sense because when we first start our program, we're in pain because we're unhappy about our weight, our health, and we've got that desire. So when it starts out, it's like a rubber band. So we start out, and this is our goal, and this is where we start. And as we go along on our program, we get closer to our goal. And then all of a sudden, we get really close to our goal, and what happens? The tension that pulls us along is not there. We may feel good about ourselves. We bought a new size of clothes already. We're getting compliments. And then, parties come along, and we may overindulge, or the holidays come along, and we think, oh, I can have, more cookies than just a few. And then what happens then is you start gaining weight, and then you get upset, and it's a yo-yo dieting, and that's what we don't want, because what we have is a lifelong program of health. So when you get to the part of where you're feeling you're almost there, you've got 10 to 15 pounds left, then it's time to reset that goal a little bit higher. Think past that. Think about a year into that with your healthy weight, and how is that going to feel, and what is that going to mean for your overall health? And then let that finish pulling you along, and know that, yeah, once you get to your goal, you'll be able to have those cookies, and you'll be able to go off program here and there, but you're going to have the tools to put you back in check before, and get those 3 pounds off before they become 13 to 20, and that's a lot harder to take off.
One thing is, too, to think about, you were never off program during the holidays. It doesn't matter what you were. I don't care if you were eating 5 cakes a day. You were never off program, because once you're on this journey, you're always on it. Now, you may be going the opposite direction of where you want to go, and that's what this community is here for, to help redirect you that way. but never, I like to think of us always being on the program at some point along our journey. It's just really about the direction that we're going in. So because I think where that serves us is if we think about, oh my God, I've been completely off program, I have to go all the way from here to here. That's a huge undertaking. Whereas it's just, you made different decisions. Don't even think about cheating. It's just different decisions that may or may not have supported your overall goal. No big deal. And it's just really about kind of redirecting us in that direction. And one of the best things that can do that for us is this. You can't really tell what I'm doing. But I mean, all of us, this community is what completely sets apart this entire program. There are lots of things you can do. You can eat food. You can lose weight. You can feel better about yourself. You can get in that size 8, 6, whatever it is. But it's really about, one, are you doing it in a healthy way to get there? 2, but what's happening in the long term? What do you do at the end of that? I was just listening to somebody the other day, and why another program didn't work for them is they didn't learn anything. Now, you guys are already learning a ton and have already learned a ton about what you need to do to keep moving on this journey. So is anybody kind of up for sharing what their personal struggle has been with, going from the holidays to trying to get 100% back on where you would like to be?
Well, sure, I'll share because I'm the one who started it all.
It's all your fault. You started.
It really is all my fault. And of course, I've got my daughter Lauren on the program with me. And so, her and I have been talking through this a lot over the last few weeks. So during the holidays, we were fine with it. I mean, starting with Thanksgiving, totally, actually starting way back from Halloween is when essentially people say that this all starts, right? Halloween was no problem at all. Got past that, no desire to go off program or throw a piece of candy in my mouth. It was not a big deal. Yeah. Thanksgiving, Lauren and I went into it, kind of same mindset. We were going to go for a nice long walk that morning. We did like a nice 6-mile walk, had a cup of coffee, and then came back and said, we're just going to enjoy a full plate of Thanksgiving food. And that's what we did. And it was fine. No guilt associated with that or whatever. The next day you just kick right back in and go from there. But it was as, for us, as Christmas started to draw near, all the parties, and it wasn't the food at work. It wasn't all the cookies at work. It wasn't any of that. Monday through Friday, I did just fine. It didn't interrupt my schedule whatsoever. But it was the weekends, and it was once you have a couple of glasses of wine and you start to feel, a good buzz going on, then all of a sudden it's like, I'll just have some cheese, or I'll just have this. And then, you start to not care. And then, a couple of days, I'm a real scale freak, and I have to get really better about doing that. I get on the scale every day, and I know I shouldn't. I go in kind of a roller coaster on that. Sometimes I can go 3 days without getting on it. Sometimes I'm on it every day. And so, during that first kind of block of holiday parties, I didn't gain anything. And I was like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. And, back to the plan Monday through Friday and did really well. And then I started, kind of telling myself that this routine was okay. If I stick to plan Monday through Friday and I just go off on the weekends and enjoy myself, then it will be fine. And that worked for maybe the first 2 weeks. But then I found myself just getting way too comfortable. And it wasn't like the, breakfast through mid-afternoon. I stayed on plan. I was fine. I ate my meals. It was around dinner. And then when you go out and you hit the parties, you just kind of let loose. And I found that 5 pounds just crept up on me way too fast for my comfort. Yeah. And it started to kind of eat away at me. And I was like, well, then I'll just, okay, well, I'm going to allow myself to go off plan until New Year's, because there's no way I'm not going to do this again. So I'll just whatever until New Year's. And then, so New Year's was last weekend. So then again at work this week, Monday through Friday, it did just fine. But then still have some lingering parties, right? Because people are still on vacation, even though I'm back to work. And then I stress also, now it's football playoff time, the Super Bowl's around the corner. People are still partying, So this is what kind of pushed me into the post this morning was, I had a party to go to Friday, and I was like, there were some nachos and queso, and I allowed myself to eat it. And then I said, screw it, I'll just have the hamburger with the bun, and, just totally went off plan for me. And then yesterday, what was yesterday? Oh, yesterday I was basically trapped in the house all day with the weather. And what do you want to do? You want to eat carbs. You just want to eat all those comfort foods. Now, I will tell you, I threw everything away. I did. I went through the house. Literally dumped out candy bowls, like just bowls of candy, because, my family's a big chocolate freak. I gave all of my boxes of chocolates that were brought to my home for our parties, gave them away, re-gifted, did what I needed to do to get it out of the house. But I found myself walking in and out of the kitchen, what can I eat? What am I allowed to eat? I ate my planned food, but then last night for dinner, I made sausage and peppers, which was on the plan, but I ended up eating a piece of bread with it. And I was like, why? I even questioned myself, why am I doing this? And I did. I felt guilty for eating that piece of bread. But then right away, my mind went into, well, there's always tomorrow. Thank God on this plan, there's always tomorrow, right? So I excused myself from that. And then this morning I woke up and I said, okay, here's day one of the next, the next part of my goal weight, which is to lose the next 20 pounds. Then I was like, crap, we have this football party to go to tonight, and I was like, how do I get through that again? I was doing it before for 6 months. I was going to parties. I was going to like summer events, summer pool parties, and I wasn't eating off plan. So what changed? Why did I get comfortable? I'm not satisfied with my weight right now. I do want to lose another 20 pounds. So what happens there? How do I, retrain my mindset to be, I'm on this plan and I'm going to stick to it instead of giving myself permission to eat these things that I shouldn't be, that are going to kick me out of fat burn.
Yeah, that's an excellent story, because I think so many people can relate to that. And, certainly if anybody has any tips or ideas, I don't even want to use the word tricks. There is no trick here. If only there were some magic something or another. But we know we can talk about to get on the medical side a little bit. We know biologically, physiologically, one reason why you're having a struggle is because you're not in fat burn, right? So if you were to get on the program strictly for 4 days, get yourself back in fat burn, you wouldn't have you should have far less cravings and hunger. Right. Emotionally, you'd be feeling far better about your success. You'd be more motivated, but it's kind of that vicious cycle. If you can't get yourself through that first 4 day period, then that's, a problem biologically. But I think even more so, it's really up in here. And what you were describing was a lot of what was going on more here versus in your body. Oh, screw it. Oh, there's always tomorrow. Oh, I suck because I ate a piece of bread. All that kind of stuff that we all go through. And that's why the emotions, and I've been thinking a lot about that this week, is the biggest obstacle any of us have along our journey. Some people say, oh, their husband's causing them stress. My wife's doing this to me. I got these parties. But it's really all, and this is, we're certainly not blaming. This is no pointing. We're all in this same thing. We all struggle with that same thing. It's all up. It's just really making that, concerted effort to not be your own worst enemy, rather, and to really just continuing to make those healthy choices. Does anybody have anything they want to share as far as their, any tips that they're using to try to get back on track, or any particular struggles that you're having?
Yeah, I'd like to share a couple things.
Hey.
Honestly, girl, your story is everyone's story, most of our stories. And what I have found for me, I mean, the same struggles, everything you're saying, absolutely the same. And also what you said about in the beginning, like, how much weight have you lost, Jen?
55 pounds.
Okay. So when we lose that much weight, even if we're not totally at our goal, or even if we put on a few pounds, it gets back to the structural tension, that Dennis was showing. It's like in the beginning, when we started this program, 100%, right? We did not deviate. I can speak for myself. I did not deviate one time. I started in November. So, that everyone's going, oh my gosh, you're starting before the holidays. Well, there's always something, as we know, right? And we have an amazing goal and we just go for it. And it's just like what Michael and Dennis were saying. It's all what we're telling ourselves up here, because in the beginning, we've come to a place that we've drawn a line in the sand and we're ready to go, no matter what. And people try and taunt you even. Oh, come on, just have a little bit. Nope. We can do that so easily. Then we get to where we either reach our goal or almost reach our goal. And then you kind of start playing with the system, right? Like you said, it's like, oh yeah, I could do this during the week, and then on the weekends, wow, look, and I didn't put on any weight. And then you have a glass of wine, which everything you said is so true. It's like, oh, what the heck, I'm feeling good. I'll have those nachos, or I'll have this or that. Oh, look, and I got on the scale and it's okay. Then we take it a little bit farther, as we do as human beings, right? Don't we just like push our limits? I remember diets that I've done in the past. You figured out that I'd have to go weigh, like the Diet Center or Lindora, right? That you could figure out what you could do to fool the system. So a few days before you go weigh, you do whatever you do so you're either the same or down a little bit. Well, who are we trying to fool, right? Who is this game with? It really is just us in our head. So I've struggled with everything you're talking about. What is a shift for me is, yes, did I start again? But it's different for me this time, because I really have done a lot of self-talk, because everything you're talking about, everything you're saying is all right up here, because we know we can do it because we've done it before, right? Mm-hmm. And no matter what people had in front of us, it didn't matter. I mean, I could walk into our dental office and there'd be donuts and M&Ms and all that stuff. That's like, nope, because what I want over there is way greater and bigger than what is happening here. Mm-hmm. And paying attention, for me, it's really been paying attention to what I tell myself, how our chatter tells us, oh, come on, just have a little bit. There's always tomorrow. Anyone ever think about that? Oh. Anyone else? Oh, yeah. Well, I'll just do the program tomorrow, right? And what Michael said is so true. It's like, it's not going on and off the program. That's yo-yo dieting. It's what do you want more? So what has shifted for me is what I want more. What I want more is really about being healthy and long-term, and putting it out there to everybody and asking people for support and partnership along the way. Gosh, this is really hard for me. If I feel tempted, can I call you? Until you get in fat burn, especially because, the first week is really difficult sometimes when you've been on program. I think it's way harder to go back on once you have gone off. And isn't it so funny how we have all these things? I found myself doing the same thing. Well, yeah, I can't really start tomorrow because, we have that party on Thursday, and then people are coming over on the weekend, and then we're going out with our friends on Saturday night, and all this stuff we're setting ourselves up for failure, as opposed to it's just to fuel your body. Really, when you think about eating, I mean, I love to eat and I like to drink and all that, but really, it's really just to fuel our body, because we never are happy about it when we're done, right? And we're not in a position that we feel like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever, because usually what we want isn't the healthiest. So making a shift, so for me, I made a shift in my head. I started in a different mindset at the beginning of this, on the 2nd, I should say. And it really is just about health. And this is ridiculous. And so it's really interesting because 100% for me, and I almost feel like I did to begin with. And I've lost 8 pounds in the first week, right? Yeah, it's amazing. And it was interesting because Glenda's on, and we went out to dinner the other night to El Torito, right? And that's hard for me because I love margaritas, I love chips and salsa, I love all that stuff. And I took celery. Like, preparing to be successful, I think, is key. I cut up celery in my purse, and did I do salsa? Yeah, with celery. But you still, it's in the end, it still tastes the same. Do you know what I mean? You get that same kind of feeling. Salad with grilled chicken on top. Did I have a margarita? No. And it's interesting because I was honestly not even tempted. And so it's just changing that and reaching out to the community of support that you have. Does that make sense? And it's like, we can't be there to tell each other, like, don't do that, because then that makes us kind of rebellious, because we're all kind of like that, because we're entrepreneurial anyway, and we don't want anyone telling us what to do. But it's like, what do you want more? So the other thing that helped me is, I think, in terms of, what would a healthy person choose? Because for the longest time, I remember people in my world, that I looked at and I thought they were fit and thin and healthy, and they'd say, I can eat whatever I want and I don't put on weight. Anyone have any friends like that? Right? And I'd be going,
yeah.
How do you do that? What is that
Annoying.
about? I could not even comprehend that, right? Well, my big aha discovery is, they didn't want the same things that I wanted, right? There could be a bag of chips there and they could have one or none, and I wanted the whole bag. Or there could be a dessert and they'd have one little bite and feel satisfied, if anything, and I wanted the whole thing, right? In fact, someone said to me not long ago, and this was really an aha experience for me too. One of my friends, she's a health coach, and she was out here, Marie Cruz, and when we all went out to dinner, and we were talking about weight gain and all of that, because she's really worked on that as well. And she commented to me, she goes, Karen, I noticed that we had this multiple course meal, right? She says, I noticed that every course that came, you cleared your plate. I said, oh, really? And I said, what was funny about that is she sat next to me, and I noticed that every course that came, she didn't clear her plate. She left quite a bit. And she just told me, she says, I'd really take a look at that. Like, why do you feel like you need to clear your plate? It's like, well, it tasted good and I wanted it, right? But that was so interesting. I had not, she says, sometimes when you do that, there might be a little food addiction there. That was very, so just all these things that we can all share with each other, that we can plug into our head to help us move forward in a empowering way, and not beat ourselves up, but pay attention, be really mindful. And that's interesting. Why did I do that? Why am I thinking that? And we have the power to change our thoughts, as we all know. So I'm not going to go on and on, but hopefully that was a little bit helpful in a little bit of in how we think.
And as we wind down here, I really don't want to go past 30 minutes because everybody has things they want to do. But Jennifer's a person, I gather she's good about sharing. So I'm going to pick on you for one more second. Just think about what is your goal with your health? Ultimately, we know the 20 pounds you want to get off, but what do you ultimately want to achieve with your health?
Well, I don't know. So to use the word health with my health, I think overall my health is good.
Or your life. Yeah, that's a good
point.
But
it's more my mindset. It's stopping that inner voice, I think, is something that I would like to improve. I wish that, my goal is to release that somehow, because it's been there my entire life, you know, with my weight struggles. It's back again because that inner voice actually wasn't there while I was on plan, doing well, you know, staying in fat burn, losing the weight. Like I felt kind of free of that. There was no guilt involved. There was nothing. And it was wonderful. And you kind of, that's a really good question, because now I'm coming up with maybe something that might have been triggered there, is that it's that guilt. It's that inner voice that annoys the crap out of me. And I really enjoyed it not being there. So I have to figure out a way to get rid of it again. And that is to get back on plan and start eating healthy, making good choices. And the mindset of, if I eat that, it's going to kick me out of fat burn, you know, instead of saying, you know, if I eat that, well, I'm going to feel guilty. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's really what it is for me, is it's about getting rid of that inner voice that has haunted me my entire life.
Yeah. Excellent.
Cause I feel healthy. And, but that's another thing too, you know, like with the weather, the way that it is, you know, and the reason why I went on this plan was because of the not feeling guilty about having to get to the gym. Right. But now I'm completely inactive, because at least before, even though I wasn't going to the gym, if you recall, very involved with my daughter with softball, and you know, we have 3 months off and we're still going to an inside place to practice, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
So I'm just always in the house and always around food, whereas when I started the plan in April all the way through summer and fall, it was a whole different scenario for me. So the winter months really are key. And I think key for a lot of people is, it's like, how do you get through that? How do you get through that without packing on those pounds and getting back into a bad habit and having that horrible inner voice creep back into your head?
Yeah.
Well, going back to the voice in your head, you know, that's the chatter, and we all have it, and it's all the time. Mm-hmm. And so what we have to do is learn to recognize it as what it is, and not let it rule us. I think it's all, you know, and put it aside. Just go, when it comes up, just go, oh, okay. But this is how it is. This is how it's going to be with my program, and I'm setting these goals, and this is what, and it's going back to that tension again, and just refocusing, so that can help pull you along the way.
You might have seen Kim Fisk along the way, so what Dennis was getting at, which I like the way she says it, is that chatter comes up and she goes, isn't that interesting why I'm thinking that about myself or about this situation? Doesn't mean you have to act on it. Doesn't mean you have to eat that, whatever it is, but it's going to be there, and it's probably, unfortunately, not rational to think about it going away, but it's certainly rational to think about how we change, how we process matter is in our head. That's a huge part of our journey, and to really start working on thinking about it differently so that we can act on it differently.
And I'll send you that video. It's a great video. I'll dig it up and send it to you.
Okay. Awesome.
Any last minute thoughts? And I think we're going to start trying to do these. So if anybody has any issue that, you know, is on their mind,
any topics,
might be impromptu, we might schedule them. It's just going to depend on what kind of comes up. But if you have anything that you think would be good for us to help our optimal health community, send them our way.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye, guys. Go Giants.
It up. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, whatever she said.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye.